we are on the road. We are driving north right now to check out a few of the different properties, and what I am seeing thus far is lots of sunflowers, which sunflowers are absolutely fantastic habitat. The birds love them. They love the feed aspect of it. It seems to be good overhead coverage from predation, but at the same time, they can run through them better. And then I feel like a majority of the sunflower fields up here, they get a little weedy, so it's pretty good cover for birds. Now, the problem for us is in this specific area, sunflowers come out last. So we'll have to wait on those. Now, good thing is we aren't up clear north to where we hunt yet, so I don't know what that exactly looks like, and it can change a lot in a 6, 8, 10 mile range, because the birds' average home range is usually only a mile, maybe 2. They don't fly too much further than that. So when we get up here, we'll have a better look at what's going on. But I'm gonna throw this out so you can kind of see. Man, there's more sunflowers there. Throw this around so you can kind of see maybe what I'm seeing. All right, sunflower out the window. We got Timothy learning on the side here. He's kind of getting a feel for the new properties. But we've got sunflowers. This is probably the 6th field of sunflowers to come across. That looks like another quarter maybe. But sunflowers everywhere. Other than that, things don't look too bad. I mean, it does look a bit dry, which is kind of what we expected, because I don't think they've had a good rain up here since maybe August, I heard. Don't quote me on that, but beans are all out. There's beans, which the beans are all out, which is a good deal. They, nope. I thought I saw a bunch of waterfowl. I did not. So, this is some of the stuff out to the side. You can see this Milo, his left here, and they'll follow that row up. They do a ton of this kind of stuff, and then there's some that's kind of right along the edge of a low spot. And then on this other side here, you can kind of see those shelter belts, and they'll run those shelter belt strings all over the place. And you know, for them to turn into a more mature shelter belt, I think you're looking at maybe 7 to 10 years. Trees grow slow, especially when you're in a drier climate, but you can see even more everywhere. Once you get up here, you start seeing these shelter belt rows all over the place. And a big part of that ends up being that, you know, winter survival is key to the bird numbers coming up. And those shelter belts make a pretty good safe haven late season. If there's big snows and things like that, they can kind of get up in the trees, or they can tuck down underneath some of the cedar trees and stuff. And those shelter belts, and we'll show you in some of our videos here later, they have a typically 5 to 7 rows, depending on what it is, of a mixture of different heights and types of trees. So typically the ones that we hunt, you'll have 1 to 2 rows of cedar trees that are kind of a shorter but a bushy coverage to allow birds to hide underneath of them. And then you'll have, they use a lot of Russian olives, and those Russian olives have kind of a more canopy style, and they're open underneath. And then, this is a good example of some more food plots, and then you'll see this cut strip going that way. Those are all for the purpose of helping to make huntable situations for birds. So the differences in those trees make a huge difference in how, you know, they each have their purpose. Those Russian olives are kind of a thorny tree, but they provide that canopy so the birds can get underneath them, they can run around, they can move, but they're protected from hawks and other things. So you'll have 2 rows of cedars, and then typically a little bit of an open area, then a Russian olive row, and then again on the outside, a lot of times 2 rows of cedars again, or they'll utilize some type of other brushy type thing, and those are pretty intermixed, and most of the brush type stuff doesn't seem to take off quite as well, just depending on where you're at, when they're put in, and the year that they were put in, and all that stuff. So we've got, we're getting close up here. I'm going to show you when we get up to our first field. We're going to drive around it a little bit, and then we'll kind of show you what the stuff we'll be hunting is going to look like. All right, so we've got, this is shelter belt right here, and this is one of, I'm gonna step out so we can see this a little better. Just driving around trying to get the lay of the land, if you will. And we got puppies back there. They say, we're bouncing through fields. We know what that means. So we've got a good food plot down here into the grass, and all of this up here is all CRP. But everything out here is all, looks like drilled to wheat, back into wheat maybe. But these food plots are typically good producers, and then grass and milo. This is a food plot down here. I said food plots. Shelter belts here are good. Food plot here, and then grass, CRP all up over the hill. So we're gonna go see what this looks like. There's supposed to be some food plots down here in the bottom for us, which I don't 100% see yet, but we're gonna go take a look. All in all, so far, things are looking pretty dang good around here, because the neighbors don't have, hush puppies. They say, we're ready to roll, folks. Right now, everything around here is looking pretty dang good. So we're gonna cut up here. I like to have a really good idea when I am guiding to know what's there, where exactly ever. Even though I've hunted this property for the last 9 years now, I know where the ground is, but what I don't know is how things have been changed agriculture-wise on the neighbors, and how all of those different things look. So we just like to get down here and take a look, so I know exactly what to work with. If we can hit one spot and forego another because the neighbor still got crops in or something like that, we'll go ahead and do it. So we're gonna go ahead and drive right down through here. We got, ooh, that's a pretty picture right there. Check this out, folks. Yeah, it can be wet. I don't know if it's wet right now, but we just got cattails down here. It's typically a wetter zone, and then the trees and the sun's hitting it. It just looks beautiful. Woo! All right, we'll go up here and see what we can find. You gotta stay tight to this tree row. And then there is that's neighbors right here. So this is technically, this is a public access road right about to here. There's a pheasant right there. Yeah, I don't think I can get that out around fast enough, but there was one pheasant. So this right here, folks, I'm gonna show you this because this is just goofiness. So in, say, South Dakota, you can road hunt. You gotta have you can walk road ditches, everything else. And this is a road right here. Yeah. So we've got signs up and everything else, and you'll see these down here that say, hey, stay out of a property, please. They say, private property, no hunting or trespassing. Violators will be prosecuted, patrolled daily. Yes, it's patrolled daily during the season for dang sure. But they've got bees over there, you see that?
I'm interested in that food plot.
I want one of those flow, what do they call flow? Yeah. I feel like that would be easier. And they say that there's advantages to it, disadvantages to it. I went and mowed a lot of grass here this year.
So we're up here on the CRP.
Correct. Yep.
But this is still considered a public road.
This is a road. Yeah. Yeah. So when we see traffic coming and going up here, we gotta keep an eye on it, keep them off the property, but at the same time, they got as much right to drive clear back there because there's public hunting at the back of this. So you can drive all the way back.
Plant like food plots?
No, not really. I think that's private land open to hunters. I don't know what the program, because I only hunt private ground up here pretty much. So I don't know what the South Dakota program is called, but it's not actually state ground as much as it's just, there's public access ground back there of some sort. There's signs, it's all marked out right, but. Okay, so we've got, this piece is looking really good. It's really good to hunt because the neighbors ain't got anything except for across the road maybe here it looks like. Let's get up here and see. But we'll do those whole shelter belts. Here, let me show you guys too again on this. This would be this farm. It sits like this, the way we're looking at it. And we just kind of made a loop. We went through here and then cut up here, and then went back to here, and then drove all the way out up here. But those shelter belts are right down that way, and that's that big green trees along the road there. These maps are pretty cool. We can show people and everything else. And then what it's looking like across the road is what we always deal with. From it can be a little bit of trouble for us, but no, sir. They've got corn, and it is out.
Yes.
So I'm going to say the 183 farm is going to be go time. Go time. All right, let's get out of four-wheel drive. But what we're ending up doing now is we're going to go to the next little piece of property, which is a far north farm. It's typically a honey hole, if you will, but all the pieces have to be right. There was just enough moisture in that we picked up a fair amount of dirt.
I was about to, well, a little bit of rain yesterday.
Yeah, that's true. We did get a little rain up here yesterday. So we're going clear north, and there, like I say, it's a honey hole, but the things have to be right. So it's a good 20 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and click off, and then when we get up there, we'll take a look at it, see, is it going to be worth the drive all the way north with this group, or is it going to be a later season deal this year? Be right back. All right, so what we're going to do here is take a quick look at that last property. Tim had some questions, and I thought this would be really good to explain to all y'all. So what we've got here along this edge of the shelter belts, right? We showed some of that, and these shelter belts are a mile, and then that's kind of like a little over half barely, and then that's a little over half again, and then here we got another one. So it ends up being about 3.5 miles, give or take. And what we'll end up doing, because we've got 9 guys in this first group, so we'll put 6 down here, depending on the wind. Depending on what the wind is, we'll either push all the way this way, but ideally, if we can push this way and kind of keep birds moving this way, we can get them all into the grass. But we have 6 walkers spread out, and then 3 blockers, and they move the vehicles for us, and we do it again. Now, this kind of spiral bound here is the highway, and then out here is the neighbors, and they've got cut corn and then hay field, so everybody should be in this or in this. We've got a majority of the cover around this year. Now, if the birds are in the shelter belts, we'll come down and work this one. There's a good little honey hole down in here, cattail pocket, little pond. And then this is all wheat this year, the ag aspect of it. And this is, again, here we've got some low water spot. That was that little cattail spot. There's where I kind of showed the trees and said, look how pretty that is. What we'll end up doing then, after we work this side, then we'll come back and push this around and then hunt this grass last. It kind of pushes us into the later part of the day, and that's when a lot of times the birds are going to hit the CRP. Now, or early in the morning, but later in the day, then we can kind of walk up and down these grass strips a little bit, kind of pushing to a full culmination of a pinch point, if you will, down in this corner. And if we do it right, there's a lot of birds left that kind of get all migrated into this area, and it makes for a pretty cool deal. Now, this is some more CRP here, and it's typically fairly productive, but what ends up happening is there are a lot of hills, and those hills get up and down. You got a lot of change of direction, and it's not quite as safe as what I like to be on a majority of bases. So we avoid that for the most part. But that's kind of how this property specifically gets hunted. Let's go ahead and flip to this next one that we're at right now. Clear up north, this is what I was talking about, is the honey hole. Now, this one, this is all wheat. This is cut corn, and this is wheat. And then over here, there's some corn and food plots, and they've got stuff set up a little bit to hunt birds, but we've got a majority of the cover and the hidey hole stuff. These are very mature shelter belts. And then all in that area is the food plot, big food plot, and the food plot runs down to this end. So we kind of are set up to push across and then block down here and then push back through. And you kind of end up bumping birds around, but they all want to hold up in that. And then jump across the road and push this back this way. Doing that little walk, which it doesn't look like there's much there, especially looking at the last property, and that's because there's not. It's just a honey hole, and when you get into honey holes, there's a lot of birds, a lot of shooting, and if these guys do things right, there's a very good chance that could be a you know, single short hour, 2 hour hunt, and we have her done. So it's just a little bit of a look at, you know, kind of on paper what those properties that we just drove around look. Now we're going to go ahead and head to some of the next stuff.